In the midst of intense fighting in the Middle East, Israel was shaken by a shocking event. A rocket attack, launched by the Houthi group, targeted an important building in Tel Aviv, resulting in the death of Israel's Minister of Defense and a senior general of the Israeli army, AOI. This attack caused massive destruction in the city center, intensifying an already tense situation between Israel and neighboring countries. The attack occurred during the day when Israeli officials were holding a crucial meeting. The Minister of Defense and the Senior General of the IDF, Israel Defense Forces, were in the building to discuss next steps following the ceasefire reached with Iran. The meeting was considered pivotal for developing a new strategy regarding planned attacks on Yemen. During the meeting, a powerful explosion rocked the building. The explosion was followed by a fire that engulfed the entire floor where the meeting was taking place. Eyewitnesses near the incident reported that the sky was covered with dense smoke enveloping the entire area. Surviving officials stated that the rocket attack was well organized and precisely targeted. The building where the meeting was held was completely destroyed. Many of those present, including officials and high-ranking figures, sustained serious injuries. Israel, which was in a state of ceasefire with Iran, was suddenly shaken by this unexpected action. The attack was not only aimed at Israeli military officials, but also sent a clear political message. The Houthis will not stand idly by in the face of Israel's policy in the region. Experts believe this rocket attack was not an isolated incident, but part of a long-term Houthi strategy to demonstrate that they can strike Israel, despite the vast geographical distance between the two countries. This is seen as a warning to Israel and the countries that support it. Immediately after the attack, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu convened an emergency meeting with senior officials. His face reflected deep concern, not only for the loss of two key figures in the defense structure, but also for Israel's increasingly precarious position in the Middle East. Netanyahu firmly declared, "This is an attack on our country, and we will not let it go unanswered." However, behind his determination, a clear tension was evident. Israel now faces a bitter reality. Its defense has been severely compromised. Israeli security experts began expressing even greater concern following this attack. They believe the Houthi rocket attack highlights a weakening of Israel's position in the region, especially after the ceasefire with Iran, which was supposed to bring hopes of stabilization. Israeli society began showing signs of panic. Many citizens expressed concern about their country's future. News of the rocket attack spread rapidly through social media, and images of the destroyed Ministry of Defense building went viral. Hundreds of people sought shelter, and some areas of Tel Aviv affected by the explosions were cordoned off by security forces. The Tel Aviv stock market experienced a sharp decline, reflecting investors' fears about national security. The Houthis claimed responsibility for the attack and stated it was a response to Israel's actions, which in their view have fueled tensions in the Middle East. They asserted that Israel cannot continue attacking countries like Yemen without consequences. In an interview, a Houthi representative stated that the attack was a form of protest against Israel's foreign policy, which they consider a threat to regional stability. "We will not stop until we feel safe from the threat of Israel," the representative categorically declared. Israel, for its part, maintains that this attack was an attempt to destabilize the situation in the country and sabotage diplomatic efforts with major powers. However, for many, this attack underscored the vulnerability of Israel's position amid shifting regional dynamics. Tensions escalated following reports that several of Israel's allied countries began questioning its military strength after the attack. Some reports indicate that the United States, until now Israel's main ally, has begun warning about the need for more cautious military actions in the future. This attack also had serious consequences for international relations. Iran, which recently reached a ceasefire with Israel, appears more cautious and is closely monitoring developments. Middle Eastern countries are beginning to take positions regarding the escalating conflict. Tensions peaked when several Israeli politicians began blaming political decisions that led to an aggressive policy toward neighboring countries, particularly Yemen. This attack is the direct result of an aggressive foreign policy, some Israeli political analysts declared. Domestically, protests began. A group of citizens opposed to military policy took to the streets, demanding that the government review its foreign and military policies, which in their view are exacerbating the situation. Calls are growing louder for Israel to focus on diplomacy rather than confrontation. Meanwhile, in Tel Aviv, rescuers continue working through the rubble of the Ministry of Defense building, hoping to find survivors, though hope fades with each passing minute. A sense of tension and uncertainty hangs over the city, leaving a feeling of fear about an increasingly bleak future. In this tense context, Prime Minister Netanyahu delivered another threatening speech, declaring that Israel would respond to this attack with full force. However, many wonder whether Israel is capable of protecting itself amid a growing threat to its existence. Following the attack, Israel began mobilizing troops along the border in case of new attacks by the Houthis or other related groups. Yet many doubt the effectiveness of Israel's defense, which is now in a state of shock. Military analysts note that the Houthi attack highlights Israel's inability to protect its strategic assets. Amid this tension, the IDF is rushing to assess the damage and prepare a response to the attack that destroyed the Ministry of Defense. While this attack was a bitter lesson for the Israeli military, many believe it exposed a significant breach in the country's defense system. Some analysts warn that the rocket attack may be just the beginning of a series of broader attacks. They caution that the Houthis, backed by Iran, may continue and even intensify their attacks on Israel if it does not abandon its aggressive policy in the Middle East. Israel's internal security is also under scrutiny. After this attack, many Israelis felt an even deeper sense of insecurity regarding their safety. Despite efforts by security forces to reassure the population, doubts about the state's ability to protect its citizens are growing. Internationally, this attack has further complicated the diplomatic situation. Major powers have begun questioning whether Israel is capable of defending itself amid rising tensions in the Middle East. Some nations have started emphasizing the need for a more active role by the international community to prevent further escalation. Reactions to the attack also came from Arab countries. Some nations celebrated the attack as an act of resistance to Israel's policy, which they consider harmful to Arab nations. However, they also fear that the attack will exacerbate regional tensions and increase civilian suffering. Although Israel has vowed to respond to the attack, many doubt whether it has sufficient resources to counter the growing threat. Many believe that following this attack, Israel should revise its military strategy and focus on diplomacy to avoid an open war. On the other hand, these attacks raise questions about how major powers, such as the United States, will respond. So far, the U.S. has been Israel's main ally, but amid rising tensions, many fear it may not be able to maintain balance in this conflict. Domestically, several opposition groups have begun demanding that the government withdraw troops from areas considered conflict zones. They believe the aggressive policy pursued so far has resulted in significant losses and has not yielded positive results for the country's security. With the situation escalating, the world now awaits the next steps from Israel and the Houthis. These attacks have triggered an unprecedented wave of tension. The international community, long divided in its support for one side or the other, is now forced to take a clearer stance regarding the ongoing crisis.